Konnichiwa, Formula One and IndyCar fans. Welcome to Formula Pun Racer. Again, 2 races in a row, rain has played a part in making a wet and wild outcome for the next F1 round at the Suzuka Grand Prix in Japan. Let's tune in and see how it turned out, huh?
To come, it's lights out and away we go, and Verstappen crawling away from the start, gets away, but not as well as Charles Leclerc on the inside. Esteban Ocon getting a bit squirrely.
Considering how rainy it was of this day, powerboats seemed more fitting on this soaked track than cars. Nevertheless, with the Honda-powered Red Bull of Max Verstappen at the wheel on pole and Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari starting second, it would be neck and neck between the two when the lights went out. But in the first corner, the Honda-powered car would take the lead over the Ferrari, to the delight of the Japanese fans. But already, just a few corners later on the very first lap, havoc would ensue throughout the field. In fact, before the first corner, Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel went wheel to wheel with each other, and Vettel was out for a spin, but was able to continue in his Aston Martin while Alonso's Alpine Renault continued on. But even more crazy is the fact that Charles Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz Jr., well, his Ferrari charge, once again for the Italian stallion, got glued when he aquaplaned and smashed into the barrier.
What'd you say?
Considering how it's difficult to see for these drivers in wet weather conditions, especially when a lot of water gets kicked up from underneath the rear tires, for drivers behind to not see very well, things got considerably worse for Pierre Gasly's AlphaTauri. When he reached Carlos Sainz's point of crash, some of the debris that's strewn across the track got wedged right in between the ground and his front wing, so he was super blinded, even though he miraculously managed to make it back to the pits to change his front wing for this situation here.
What happened? Who turned out the lights?
Amazingly, despite Carlos Sainz Jr. crashing out on this wild and wet first lap, along with Sebastian Vettel's Aston Martin and Zhou Guanyu's Alfa Romeo taking a spin as well but continuing on, and with a piece of sponsor getting stuck in front of Pierre Gasly's nose, I would say one thing: the only other retirement of the race after Carlos Sainz Jr. on that very same lap happened to be the Williams of Alexander Albon, which went out with a gearbox issue. But in another development, on that same first lap of the race, fortune seemed to somewhat smile on Aston Martin as Lance Stroll, the Canadian, who started 19th, managed to find a bare, dry spot on the track on the front stretch to zip by 8 cars to make his way to 11th spot. I mean, pretty impressive for the Canadian. I'm sure he's showing some potential at last, eh?
Great Scott. I know, this is heavy.
The race would be stopped after 1 lap on top of Carlos Sainz's big crash, and it would take at least an hour before the rains would let up for the race to restart once again. And just like at the start of the proper first lap, Max Verstappen would just pull away. There was just no stop in the Flying Dutchman, and he was practically in a league all of his own. But interestingly enough, about a lap or 2 later, Sebastian Vettel in his Aston Martin dived into the pits to switch from wet tires to intermediates. Intermediates, for those of you wondering, is a tire that has a little more grip than wet tires when the race track is both wet and dry at the same time, like damp. So it would be bound to wear out a little less and give him grip. So it would be crucial for the German because, interestingly enough, he managed to finish 6th after his embarrassing first lap spin that Alonso caused, and in fact, at the finish line, he was wheel to wheel with Fernando Alonso in his Alpine Renault at the finish line too, and amazingly no TV footage caught this moment, but I gotta admit, kudos Sebastian Vettel for being able to show Aston Martin does have potential as well, so that intermediate tire change was important to give him some points. Unfortunately for Lance Stroll, he finished outside of the points in 12th, but still, that first lap charge was amazing. And as for Max Verstappen, he practically led every lap to take another win, sealing the deal to make him the 2022 Formula One World Champion for the 2nd year in a row. And while Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari did his best to catch up to Max, there was no denying it. In fact, as he was in a duel on the last lap with Sergio Perez, he couldn't control the car in the final S's turns, they say, on the final turn, and ended up cutting the track ahead of Sergio Perez in his Red Bull. So, well, Charles Leclerc finished second at the line. He was issued a 5-second penalty, pretty much destroying his chances of catching Max Verstappen, so his chances of winning the 2022 championship are over.
Oh, come on!
With the misfortune of Charles Leclerc being bumped back from second to third and giving Sergio Perez second, it would be a great day for Japan as the Japanese power unit of Honda powering the Red Bull cars took first and second. Omedetou to Max and Checo for finishing 1-2, claiming the highest stakes in Japan. Well done, you two. Well, it's good to see, Lelouch, that Honda winning 1-2 in Japan meets with your approval. It does for me, too. And once again, I say, man, I wish I had your looks. Well, this concludes my video review of the Japanese Grand Prix. Congratulations to Max Verstappen for winning both the race and the championship this year, as well as his first race victory in Japan, for that matter. Let's see if his dominant ways can continue, as the championship may be decided and finished, but the racing action for 2022 is far from over. This Sunday, October 23, tune in for when F1 meets with the red, white, and blue of the United States of America, and grab yourself some Texas toast as they are racing at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Can Max Verstappen maintain his dominant form as usual and build an already comfortable lead? Or can Charles Leclerc get a runner-up possibility and beat Sergio Perez for runner-up of 2022? Or can Aston Martin beat Alfa Romeo in the Constructors' Points for 6th place? Tune in, as I said, this Sunday, October 23, as from the land of the free, we will watch the lights go out and race in the Circuit of the Americas. Congrats, Max Verstappen, once again for winning the championship. And see you all this Sunday. Be sure to tune in. Here's the schedule at the end of this video. If you like my videos, please subscribe and share with your friends and enjoy Formula Pun Racer's great videos. I'm Aaron Cylinder, firing on all cylinders.